Hey y'all, in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about what I have come to realize as true for me in my reality and my soul's incarnation. And I share this because I feel certain people might really benefit from hearing this and realizing it to be a possible truth of their own as well. And yeah, sharing is caring. So I live in Florida. And I moved here from the desert. And Florida, as you know, is like a peninsula. And then the place that we live in is also a peninsula on a peninsula. And so it's like a really unique energy. And what I've come to realize is Florida is basically like karmic cleansing lands. And this could be true for other places that are in similar like setups by the ocean and peninsula like. I can't speak to that. I can only speak to what I've experienced here. And so I feel like Florida is Dragonlands as well. And I feel like the lands are very potent and gangster and powerful. And they're able to withstand a lot of heavy energy and regenerate simultaneously. Like the lands here are very impressive. However, these lands are not home to me. I have respect and reverence for them for what they have taught me about karmic cleansing. And that is what I'm speaking to because I really miss my mountains and my desert. However, ever since experiencing Hurricanes Helene and Milton, I realize hurricanes and natural disasters are karmic events. And when these happen, it is, yes, Mother Earth resetting in a certain way. And then it's also the collective that lives in those regions that's impacted by those regions karmically, like in their soul contracts, they agreed to have these disasters happen because they needed to have the reset and rebuild that a hurricane is. And a lot of people, if you've experienced natural disasters, you know, but a lot of people, when a disaster happens, they get brought to like a ground zero and then they have to rebuild and they have to rely on strangers, they have to rely on friends, they have to rely on family members that maybe they didn't want to rely on. They have to rely on themselves, they have to rely on partners, um, and nature as well to be in their favor as they rebuild, right? And so there's a lot that happens that wouldn't happen had the disaster not happened, right? And so in this way, sometimes a person that's helping you, maybe they help you for one storm and then you guys barely talk again. That could be some type of karmic recalibration and exchange happening between you and that soul. Or maybe it's something related to another life and that was needed. Or maybe you were generous with that person or they were generous with you. And that brought some type of karmic rebalancing to the table. And then on top of that, um, the people that you live with when you experience these things, like the family members, partnerships, maybe you have roommates, there's usually some type of karmic relationship that is present as well, is my assessment. Maybe not for everybody, but for a good percentage that gets hit by this type of stuff. And so, for example, I have my husband, we have a highly karmic relationship that we're working out here in Earth School in this incarnation. And the hurricanes really activated whether PTSD, they shook up the nervous systems, they purged all kinds of stuff with all the fear that came when we thought we were going to die. And then all the nitty-gritty, like bad behaviors and colors that weren't perhaps being shown before came to the surface as well in our relationship. And nasty, nasty rupture happened for us, and we've had to repair that. And it wouldn't have happened without the hurricanes. However, I'm so grateful that it did happen because this is the meat of what our souls are needing to work out with one another in this life to call it good as we go our own ways after this life, right? And so, again, karmic reset for a lot of people happens during hurricanes and natural disasters. And perhaps also in your relationship with Mother Earth as well. Maybe it's an invitation to reset with her and become closer to her and to respect true power, which is the force of nature to behold that is her, right? So there's that as well. And then when we look at like the elements, so in Florida, natural disasters aside, when we look at the element of water, water is considered to be symbolic of emotional states and emotion, right? It's also supposed to be symbolic of energy in some of like the dream psychology. However, in this case, we're going to stick with like emotion. So, Florida, you have surrounded completely by salt water. And then if you're on a peninsula, you're surrounded by salt water. And then you have like a specific little niche of salt water that's like your little area as well. I feel like it's a little different. So you have salt water. Then you have humidity. So there's also water in the air. So when we think about water in the air element also has to do with our thoughts, our mental body, our psyche, our subconscious. So the water is infused into the air, meaning the air, the thought processes have a lot of emotions that get in the way of clear thinking. And this is why in Florida we have so many people that are so superficial, so surface level, so avoidant, so fight or flight, so reckless because their thinking is infused with the water element. They're surrounded by the water element. And so there's that as well. Then you go inland to Florida and you have like the marshes, which marshes are really interesting, and swamps because you have water meets earth and it's like not solid earth either. It's like earth that is mushy with water as well. So that solid material support also has that component of water in it as well. Emotions can sometimes get in the way of grounding and safety and security. Um, and maybe like this is where like root chakra dysfunction is really relevant for a lot of people here. So you have all of that. And then when you look around at like the intense driving out here and all the stuff that happens, like so many people live life in the fast lane here and then have all these car accidents, which usually car accidents for a soul, it's someone who has a soul that's trying to wake them up, like, hey, you're going the wrong way in life. And I've heard so many people have repeat stories of car accidents out here. And you watch the drivers, they don't use their blinkers, they cut across 4 lanes of traffic all the time, they ride people's butt and like don't back off. Um, they're aggressive, they're mean. They don't pull over to help people. There's not hospitality out here in the way that there is in like the Southwest. And it's just a like really like rough, kind of cutthroat place. And I think the nature, again, is a good representative though, because the nature, as beautiful as it is much more resilient than the humans here. If our air conditioners went out, like we'd all be cooked and dead. Nature would go on, right? But anyways, with all of that in mind, all this emotion comes up, all this energy from past lives, which emotion is energy in motion, right? So all this energy from past lives of emotions that perhaps were not in motion now get put in motion, living in Florida with all the templates and basically the soul playground that it is to grow and heal and stuff like that. All of that comes alive. And then you have the karmic cleansing, the rebalancing that happens. And a lot of people visit here. And I've realized when you visit the beach, like it's one thing to live by a beach, it's another thing to visit a beach. And when you visit the beach, like it's always like, oh, that was so nice, that was so relaxing, like I look forward to returning. And that is the case because most people that visit the beach that are tourists, they're getting a karmic cleanse with their family or whoever they're with in that moment. And it can be an enjoyable experience, followed by like sunburn and dehydration and stuff like that. So there's still the discomfort perhaps of karma moving through or like maybe body aches from traveling, right? Because sometimes karma processes as body aches moving out of the physical body. But then they go back to their life because all they needed was that little mini karmic cleanse. Now, the people that live here, they go to the beach way more. They're surrounded by these elements way more. So they're immersed in this karmic cleansing. And then a lot of people here, they move. And I feel like when they move because the cleanse is complete and it's time to go on to somewhere else in their life. And then you have the people that live here their whole lives. And these could be people that are really just set on working out a lot of karma with the water element. Or it could also be people who are born with a lot of water in their charts and they want to learn as a soul. It's not necessarily karmic cleansing for these ones. They want to learn as a soul about the water element because you have Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces, and the water element is emotion, and each of them explores in different ways the water element. And so Florida can really be a great place for them to study in their soul studies with the water element as well. So that one doesn't necessarily have to be karmic, but there's that like facet as well. It's very nuanced. Um, and then I say it's Dragonlance because Mother Earth is made up of many realms and energies and places of Dragonlands of the past, Dragonlands and other dimensions. And the dragons brought all of their favorite spaces together and made Earth. And this is what we know as Mother Earth, Gaia, who is a sentient being. And this is why the dragons are here, is to protect and nourish and love on their baby, Mother Earth, right? And so I just feel like Florida really with the beauty and the love of the lands, because it is an act of love for the lands to cleanse in the ways that they do, especially when humans take them for granted and leave trash everywhere and this and that. Um, the lands really, it is an act of love, you know? And so I feel like this is like Dragonland so because dragons are high vibrational beings that do operate at the level of love and they're hosting so many souls here, helping them alchemize, helping them transmute, helping them learn. And just because you might not have dragons in your awareness does not mean they are not active here in spaces that are ocean meets like mainland. You have like the earth dragons, you have the water dragons, you have the sky dragons, you have fire dragons, you have the galactic dragons, which when you look at places like this, you have all of the elements all gathered at once because you have the sun, which is fire, then you have open skies in the ocean. So you have the open skies and the beach sunsets, and then you have the ocean, which is water. So you have those dragons, and then you have the earth. And there's also so many earth elementals as well. So this area is very filled with dragon aid elemental support for our soul's learning. When you go to the beach, you also have like a reset that happens because it's like one of the few places, along with maybe like a lake or a river, where all of the elements are gathered at once. And then you get to balance the elements in your body with the organizing intelligence of your body, taking what it needs, letting go of what it doesn't need, fully supported by all the elements and the dragons that are present in these areas. And so, yeah, that's my take on Florida. It's definitely karmic cleansing lens. It's not easy. It will chew you up and spit you out, and you'll come out a totally transformed person if you allow, or you might like come out a totally battered person. I mean, a battered person could be transformed as well because you might start off super Gucci and then be super like derelict on the streets. That might be how you feel. That might be your experience. Or you might start off not doing so hot and come out super Gucci. It's transformation lands for sure. And those that allow themselves to be transformed for the better good of themselves, the better good of humanity. Um, those ones I feel are extra supported and protected in living in these lands, and they are kept out of harm's way as they go through the initiations that it is to live on dragon lands. So anyways, this video is what I've come up with in my assessment of living here. I hope this helps someone. And if you've had any realizations about karmic cleansing and lands as well, I'd love to hear them in the comments. People love to read comments and bond in that way and receive insights and validation. So please make it a caring community filled with your own stories and wisdom. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.